welcome to a very special episode of Chef Ralph's Realm. I've got something really neat for us to do today. I'm in my parents' kitchen because I'm poor and don't have anything this nice. We're going to be doing a sourdough bread. I was able to get my hands on a starter from my sister's patient who's like 100-something years old. She's not that old. But the starter is 225 years old from France. So listen, if this thing could tell stories, I'm sure it would be horrible because times weren't that great back then. Anyway, so yeah, I envision that this is what she looks like. I've never met her, but I did get some starter. And I'll show the second camera what we're doing starter-wise. Yeah, so as you can see, it's got, all the little bubbles. I've been keeping this thing alive. This is a labor of love, folks. If you ever want to get into something interesting with starters, there's discards that happen every day. You have to feed it, the temperature, this and that, and yada, 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 yada. So it's a really cool process. Hopefully it'll yield a good sourdough loaf. We're going to do a couple different processes today. This is notoriously a difficult process with punching down and rising and flipping and folding, and it takes 2 days, and who's got time for that? So I have enough of this culture that I'm going to mess around with a little bit. Some of it's not going to come out great. Some of it may not come out at all. So we're going to start with the very basic of it. So with that being said, what you're going to want to do is get yourself a clear bowl, jug, whatever, because you're going to want to monitor how much it rises. Then get yourself a kitchen scale. It doesn't have to be a great kitchen scale. I got this one off of Amazon. It was probably $15 or so. Really nothing crazy. But from everything that everybody says, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos to get to the point where I am now, which is really nowhere. But everybody, one of the unanimous things is it's better to weigh it than measure it, meaning cups and teaspoons versus weighing it in grams. So that's one thing that I'm going to try and stick to. I also have, if you can see in the back there, a Dutch oven. I hate Dutch ovens. I'm going to try to bake some with the Dutch oven, some without the Dutch oven. I get the purpose of the Dutch oven. It's to keep the moisture in, so all the you get a better crumb structure on the inside, bigger holes, makes it nice, it rips apart and whatnot. So, all right, well, let's see what happens. How are we good on that camera? We're good. All right, so we're going to turn our scale on. We're going to put our bowl. We're going to make sure that we zero out or tear the bowl. So now to this starter, we're going to use 100 grams of starter. And you'll be able to tell. So this is unfed starter, and if you're new to what unfed means is, daily or weekly, you add equal parts starter, flour, and filtered water to maintain your starter to keep it alive. So this is that. This starter is a little loose. It should work fine because it does have a nice yeasty smell, and it has bubbles going. So we're going to do 100 grams of starter. Yeah, this is very pancakey starter. Again, the other batches that I've done weren't this pancakey, but it has all the signs of being a good starter. Then, once we got the starter in there, we're going to do 500 grams of filtered water. Now, you can use bottled water. Starters don't like chlorine. which is in a lot of the water. So you try to use water at its most purest forms. So 500 grams, make sure that you hit the tare button so you can accurately measure out the 500 grams and grab your water. Make sure that it's in a crystal pitcher, because like all the YouTube videos I see, everybody uses a crystal pitcher. I'm just kidding. If we're baking at home, I doubt we're using a crystal pitcher. But, you know, just for the video, we're putting it in a crystal pitcher because that's what everybody does. So here we go, 500 grams. You know what? I just looked at my thing. It's actually 350. So, oops. So we're still going to put it in the 350 grams. It's 500 grams of flour. So we'll get there in a minute. So we're going to do this. We're going to give it just a light stir so it gets a little bit milky. Still some chunks of starter in there. But then we're going to tare it out. Again, hit the tare button. Check my notes to make sure I'm not screwing anything up. And now we're going to do 500 grams of flour. I see everybody using King Arthur flour. I did my starters with King Arthur flour. Now I'm using Hecker's flour since 1843, just to get going. So we're going to do 500 grams of this. Should be pouring faster, but I'm not. That's fine. Hey, that's fine. 500 grams. Perfect. Throw that aside. Then with a rubber spatula, you can actually see the foamingness starting a little bit. So the yeast is actively feeding, which is what we want. Then we're going to just start to fold it in. And it's going to be definitely a raggy dough at first. A lot of the mixing of the dough actually happens during the resting process. You'd be surprised, or rather you will be surprised if you do this recipe, just how much the dough combines by itself just when you leave it to rest. So mix it in. You just really want, it doesn't have to be thoroughly mixed, just scrape down the sides. You want it to be even. So, you know, no bits sludgy and no bits of dry. And, oh, we don't need the scale. The scale could go away at this point. Just decided to give it a little bit of a workout. Okay, scrape down the sides so you can get a nice view of hopefully what's going to be happening. Alright. At this point, what I've seen people do is they put those little hotel shower caps made of cloth on these. I don't have one of those. I am proud I don't own one of those. I'm not a big bread baker, but for all intents and purposes of this video, I am. So just as a substitute, you can most certainly use a clean cloth. Some people like it to be a little damp. Some people like it to be a little drier. For the sake of the moisture, I'm wetting it, and then we're going to cover it. Now, depending on what school of thought you have, some people say half an hour, some people say an hour. In reality, what you're just looking for is the dough to start to become elastic as it combines. So, depending on the temperature of your house, there's a lot of variables. So take all the information you can from other videos that you watch, so you can make your best and accurate determination of just how it's going to look. You want to go for the look rather than the timing of it. So perfect. We're going to come back in half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, something like that, to see exactly where the dough is, and then we're going to start the folding segment of it. And you do that a few times. So we'll be right back. All right, so while that's doing that, off the side, I will show you how to revive your starter after you use it, because you want to use unfed starter for the beginning of the dough. So then what I'm going to do with the remainder is then feed the starter so I can use it again, or split it and clone it, all that good stuff. So here's a little hack that you all may laugh at me because maybe you've known about it already. But normally when you're doing this, you want to put it in a jar or something with the lid on loosely. So I found these, I guess they're margarita mason jars with handles. But what's interesting is the tops have holes in them. So I'll show this camera here. It's just a mason jar with a hole on top. So you can put the top on tight, not having to worry about it falling over, but it'll still breathe, which is what you want it to do. So just a little hack from me to you. So you want to use a new jar every time. Wash it out, clean it, yada yada yada. Since I didn't have another jar with me, I transferred what was left of the starter into a bowl and wash this out. So we're going to grab our scale. I'm going to put our jar on our scale, and we're going to do equal parts starter, water, flour. So we're going to change this to grams. We're going to add the starter first. I usually figure between 30 and 40 grams is a good amount to start with in a jar like this. So we're going to go 30, 40. And then this is discard. Lots of things you can do with discard. I've seen people make cookies with discard. You can use it as thickeners for soups. It adds a good depth of flavor and almost like an umami backer to stuff like that. Use it for a roux, yada yada yada. Great, blah blah blah. So that's going to go aside. So we've got 40 grams in here. We're going to add 40 grams of flour. And then we're going to tare, and then we're going to add 40 grams of filtered water. Once again, grab your finest crystal pitcher, because that's what you want to use when measuring sourdough starter. And we're going to go 40 grams. 40, perfect. We're going to stir. I'm just going to use a knife because that's what I pulled when I opened the drawer. We don't need the scale. You don't have to go crazy. Just mix till it's combined. It could be a little wet, a little dry. You can always counteract it the next time you hit the discards or feed it. So like that, perfect. Put the top on it, and now you're good to go for your next day. Some people are religious and feed these daily. If you put it in the refrigerator, you can feed it weekly. I've heard they're both delicate and forgiving, so it's what a beast. So yeah, got a couple more minutes until we can check on the batch that we just started. Be right back. All right, we're half an hour in after the first mini proof and now we're going to start doing the folds. It shouldn't look too much different, maybe a little bit of volume, but visually on the surface you're not going to notice much difference. Once you get your hands into it and start moving it, then you're going to start to understand the elastics that are developing, and it's going to be much smoother. So here's the reveal. Okay, so like I said, it still looks a little crummy, a little shaggy. Oh, and I have to mention, sorry, this was my bad. And I'll put it on the screen earlier. I forgot to add the salt to this. You want to do about 10 to 12 grams of salt. I put it in after the camera went off because I screwed that up. But hey, this is a learning experience. Anyway, I like to put a little water on my hands. You don't really need to do flour. The water works. Just put the water on your hands, dry it off a little bit. Now you're going to want to go in and over, rotate in and over, rotate in and over. You'll be able to see that. I'll put it in the other view. So we're going to go in and we're going to rotate and over, in, up and over, in, up and over, in, up and over. And you can see as I'm folding it like this that the glutens are developing, and it's starting to become more dough-like. You can use a little swoop and push, just like that. You're gonna do this, I don't know, for a minute or so to develop the glutens a little bit more. You can see it's starting to look more doughy and less raggy. So when it gets to that point, we're going to wash our hand. And we're going to cover it again. Like so. And then we're going to put it off to the side for another half an hour, and then we're going to repeat the process back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If it looks like it's not drying out enough, you can put a cloth on top that is not damp. I'm still playing with the moisture levels and the humidity levels a little bit. So yeah, we'll put that off to the side to do that. And I'd actually just like to take this moment to introduce two of my new products. This lovely apron that you see here with pockets. I have these in 4 different colors, and if you see my name here, it is Chef du Jour. And the whole purpose of a Chef du Jour is not everybody needs to be a professional chef to feed people they love. You just need to be the chef of the day, or the Chef du Jour. So it's my new brand that I'm coming out with. You'll be able to find it on my website, which is chefralphterrell.com. And I would also love to show you this little piece. This came to me in a dream. I have a couple different variations of it, but these are my caviar spoons. This one has Swarovski crystal. I'll show it to the side camera here. If I can get the focus. So that's an abalone shell with Swarovski crystals. I have them in the 2 most popular types of caviar, the black and the orange. I'm going to be doing red in a little bit, and a couple different other variation designs. Anyway, talk your ear off enough about my products. See you in a couple minutes to get another fold and go with the dough. All right, another half an hour down. Still not going to have a crazy difference. It's going to maybe look a little smoother. And we're just going to fold and do the thing again. Let's do the thing again. I didn't rinse or wet my hand. Stick it a little bit. Oops. There we go. Oh, much better. So we're just going to scoop to the side, push in, swoop to the side, push in, swoop to the side, push in. We're going to do that over and over again. You can see it's starting to get more elastic. It's starting to pull away from the side of the bowl easier and becoming a little bit more elastic. And here we go again. Put it in, cover it, come back. Cover it. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. So this is now going to be our fourth and final stretch and pull of the sourdough. As you can see, it looks way smoother than it has in the past. We're developing the glutens and everything is coming together nicely. So this is the last, as I said, the last stretch and pull before the long-term fermentation rise step. So we'll switch to this camera, and as you can see, it's much smoother. Even though it's still a little sticky, it is pulling away from the side of the bowl much easier, which is definitely what we're looking for. So we're just going to do this a couple more times. When it seems like it's completely mixed through and it's stretchy and it kind of gives back a little bit, you're done. And what we want to do now is we're going to transfer it to I like to use something tall, not so much a bowl. So I just use, this is just a cookie container, a bulk cookie container. It's smaller, it fits on the counter better. So we're going to move this into here, cover it, and then it's going to be overnight. It's going to a minimum of 6 hours. Better if it's overnight. And yeah, so say goodbye to this dough for now. It's going to go into that container, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right, it's been overnight, and our dough has risen. It should be roughly double in size. I can kind of eyeball it if you want to be a little bit more conscientious of how much it rises. Put it in a clear container, put a rubber band around your starting level, and when you see that it gets double that, then you're time for this step. So let's do a little bit of the unveil. That's awesome. We'll throw it down over here. So as you can see, it's got a nice jiggle to it. If you hit the bottom, it almost sounds hollow. That's because of all the air structure that should be on the inside. You'll see like little bubbles coming to the surface. That's awesome. That's exactly what we want. That means that the culture was alive and it's doing its job. So we're going to start with this stretch and pull fold. We're going to throw a little bit of flour, not much, on the table. And then we're going to turn out our dough. Now you can see, look at it pull from the side there. And that's wonderful grain structure. Look at all those little holes. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. You can actually feel a little bit of the heat in the dough from the reaction that it's having. So yeah, so we're gonna put it out onto the table. A little bit sticking is fine. It's not the end of the world. All right, so then we're going to use a couple different motions. We're going to go over and back. We're going to go over and back. Over and back. Throw it from this side. If it starts to stick, just move a little bit of the flour around. You really don't want to pull up and out too much. It's small motions. Over, and you're just gonna keep doing this process. And what this is doing is creating tension on the other side. It's slowly pulling the glutens and the dough, which is going to help create a nice top of the dough. so you can do a little bit of a decorative cutting if you wanted to. It's not a necessity at all. So yeah, so we're going to keep doing this up and over. If you see bubbles like this coming to the surface, you want to make sure you pop them. Some people don't, and it'll give a little bit. You'll see it when it bakes. If you want more of an even top, you want to try and shy away from those. All right, so then what we're going to want to do is grab a clean cloth, something of appropriate size, and we're going to put that at the bottom of a bowl. We're going to hit it with a little bit of flour. And then we're going to put it into the bowl. It's going to be the side that we were folding is going to be up. So the rough side up, like that. And now we're going to cover, just for the heck of it, just a little bit of flour on this top surface. Just give it a little tap, tap, tap. Now this is going to be the final rise. So we're gonna just cover it with the towel, cover it with the towel, cover it with the towel. This one I'm gonna try and expedite a little bit using the proofer function on the oven. This is just my thing, don't know if it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work, it should work. Like I said, there's a ton of different ways to do this. I've read that you can do this in the refrigerator for 6 hours. We ain't got time for that. So we're going to throw it in the proofer for about 2 hours, doing a little math of time and temperature. The proofer is at roughly 100 degrees. So we're going to throw it in the oven under the proof setting. If your oven doesn't have that, what you can do is just turn your oven on for like 2 or 3 minutes and just let the residual heat go. You gotta watch it with the thermometer at that point because you don't want to start baking. You just want a little bit of that ambient heat to jumpstart the yeasts. So this is gonna go in the oven, and we will. I know it's a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We'll see in 2 hours. All right, folks, we're coming down the home stretch here. We are in the final stage before the baking. So we have just let this proof for 2 hours in the proofer. Take off the rag, and it proofed nicely. So this is, instead of doing 6 hours at room temperature, I did 2 hours in the proofer. We're going to turn it out onto some parchment paper on a plate. Also, I have my Dutch oven preheating in the oven at 450. You want both halves nice and hot before you put the dough in it. So let me just grab a plate. Alright, so we're going to grab some parchment paper. Put it over the dough. I'm going to put the plate over this. Flip it. I'll turn that off. Now hopefully this will just peel off and we'll have a nice dough to start with. And yeah, for the most part, it did it. Yeah, that's very nice, in fact. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to grab some rice flour. So generally in baking, if you dust with rice flour towards the very end, it'll crisp the top a little nicer. So I'm just going to take some, sprinkle it across the top, give it a little like that, and a little more for good measure. We'll throw that aside. Next we want to make the expansion relief cuts. So there's fancy tools that you can get, but if you're not going to be baking on any type of a steady, normal basis, just a regular razor blade will do. I'm going to just do some cross cuts, and what this does is it tells the dough as it's cooking where to expand. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a cross pattern. And it does. It almost looks like it's cutting through skin, if you will. So that's fine. We're going to push this to the side now. Now this part, it's not really tricky, but we're going to move the preheated bottom of the Dutch oven from the oven to the counter. So I'm going to put my trivets down. This is the preheated bottom, and we're gonna just take the corners, lift, and throw it into Dutch oven like that. We're going to center it as much as we can, like that. Then we're gonna bring it back to the oven and cover it. I'm actually going to cover it there, just so I can move everything together. So this is the top or the bottom, depending on how you do it. We're going to put that on like that. We're going to hold it nice on either side. Alright, so we're going to do 450 covered for about half an hour, and then uncovered for about 15 minutes until the top is to where we want it. So, leaving you again, see you in half an hour. Alright, so it's been half an hour, time to uncover the Dutch oven. I set up the camera over there by the oven so we get a first look. I haven't looked at it yet. Don't know if it's going to work. Don't know what stages we're at, but I guess here we go. Oh, nice. It looks like bread. I think we made bread. Alright, so now it's going to go back in for about 15 minutes or until the top looks nice golden brown. Alright folks, here we go, moment of truth. This is now after the additional 15 minutes baking at 450 degrees. We'll do a reveal with the camera that is currently on the oven. We're going to move it here onto these trivets, and then onto a cooling rack, which it'll probably stay there for maybe 15-20 minutes. I may move it outside because it's like 29 degrees here, so it'll cool it down pretty quick. Alright, we'll meet you at the oven. Wow. Wow. That is pretty intense, guys. Pretty intense. Alright, so I'm going to just take the paper like this. Wash. Look at that. Look at that loaf. Look at that loaf. Wow. Wow. And just to give you a little perspective on that, let's see if you can hear that. That's amazing. I mean, just to think that the yeast, the thing that, you know, gave it life, is like 225 years old. That's absolutely insane. I mean, look at that. I'm not even a baker. So, I mean, listen, if I can do this, anybody can. This, crazy. All right, so we're going to let things cool down for a little bit. And then we'll cut it. Be right back. All right, it's cooled. So far, so good. We're just going to throw it on the cutting board, just admire it a little bit more, because can't believe we're at this point. So let's say proof is in the pudding. We're going to slice it. So what we're looking for, let's just hear it again. Sounds good. So we cut some corners with the proofing, and what that'll do is dictate the internal structure of the bread. So the classic sourdough, you want big pockets, lots of pockets. If there aren't big lots of pockets, then it didn't rise long enough. It's still bread, and I guarantee you it's still going to be delicious, or rather I hope. All right, I'm going to shut up. Let's cut it. Let's see what we're doing here. So far, so good. All right, let's see. Wow. Wow. Okay. I would say that this was a complete success. This internal structure on that, in my opinion, for the amount of time that we let it rise, this is actually pretty good. I mean, I'll show this camera too. That's good. Pretty surprised. All right, I mean, now really there's only one other thing to do. That has got a really nice sourdough flavor. Crispy, chewy. I impressed myself on this one. All right, so as fragile as the dough is, it's still very forgiving. All right, I'll put the full method in the link below. Thanks for sticking in on this journey. I have more of this dough proofing, so we'll figure out the full tolerances of what this can do and how it can withstand not following directions. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give a like, a follow. Thanks for coming in. I'm Chef Ralph Terrell. Hope you enjoy my channel, and hopefully I can bring something else as interesting as this to